Welcome to the Miami Heat Zone podcast. We're pushing the 8,000 subscribers. Make sure that you guys hit that subscribe button and thank you for all the support. Once again, guys, thank you guys for coming on the show. Now let's handle business first. Trent, we'll start out with you. Just tell the people about your channel and then we'll go around the horn.
Yeah, my fault. What's going on, guys? Check out my channel, Miami Heat Network. You guys know what it is. What's up, guys? What's up?
Then we'll go on to David. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, you can find me at dferrell15 on Twitter, and then also, at PlaybookSN is where we post our content as well.
Perfect. Go ahead, man. The man, the myth, the legend, Herro.
I have no channels. I'm not as important as these guys. Just find me at the herding with sheep, and I'm there to cook. That's it.
Now, so the Miami Heat, obviously, we got swept yesterday, and there's a bunch of people on Miami Heat Twitter, crashing out. David, we'll start off with you, which I think your echo went away, so you should be good to go. But, David, where do we go forward with this Miami Heat team?
Honestly, it just depends on how they want to go about it. I mean, you got three guys making $80 million on the books right now, and Duncan Robinson, Terry Rozier, and mainly, like, if you can get those guys off your books via trade, however you can do it, definitely start there. Obviously, Bam and Herro at this point are expendable. I think everybody on this roster at this point, it's on the table. Whatever you can get in return for them, I definitely understand it either way, because at this point, I just really feel that this team needs a rebuild and not a retool. That's just my own opinion, because we've seen how much they've been trying to retool during these last 5 years, and it's really at certain points we were able to get to the finals, which was great, but overall we're not seeing any type of future plans for this. So trading the guys that have the most value would help you for your future, but at the same time, from a competitive standpoint, it's definitely going to be tough sledding ahead if you do end up trading anybody.
Now, Daryl, go ahead. Cause don't worry, we're gonna get into your boy soon. But go ahead.
I obviously wouldn't do any of that. I would get rid of almost everybody other than 5 players, and I don't think we've retooled. I think it is a retool. I don't think they were technically retooling around Jimmy. They were trying to add to a little bit there, but that's not that builds over. So you have to. Now is the retool. You're not retooling in the middle of the year. You got to get off all these bad contracts. At the end of the day, you got to get off of everybody else. The Terrys, the JJJs, the Highsmiths, all of them. They all need to go.
Now is the retool.
And,
you're not retooling in the middle of the
you
year.
need to go out and find guys that complement Bam and Tyler. That's it. I mean, they're not going to punt on 27, 25-year-old All-Stars. They're not going to do it. So, even talking about it to me is kind of, crazy. Just you have to go find the right pieces for them.
Trent?
Yeah, now we got to get rid of Tyler. We're listening calls for Bam. Tyler is not a number 1. He's not a number 2. He's a number 3. This is the first postseason where he was supposed to be our number 1 guy. And he made the biggest excuse. He made the biggest mistake at first. Talking about, we need Jimmy Butler. I need Jimmy Butler to win. You can't say that. That's Nate, be real quick. But yeah, those are the type of comments you just don't say. You keep that to yourself, because if I'm a GM or whatever the case may be, it's okay, your contract extension's coming up. Why should I pay you all this money if you need another person and necessarily you need people to win the game to win, of course, but they view Tyler as he's everything to this organization. So if he's coming out and saying, I can't win pretty much, I need Jimmy, and then goes into the postseason and doesn't play well. He averaged 17 points a game. He had one good game out this whole Cavaliers series, in my opinion. He got picked defensively, destroyed defensively. And then Bam Adebayo just looked like he regressed. So I'm not trading them. I get what you're saying. You're not going to trade them, but you got to listen to offers. Everybody on this team is tradable, 100%.
But Jimmy said he needed Dame. So what's the difference?
That's fine. But this is the thing, though, right? They let go of Jimmy, right?
But my point is, you saying they can't say that.
Yeah, and what happened? What happened? They let go of him. They didn't pay him.
No, you said Your star can't say that, and your star said he needed.
But
Yes.
you can't say that in the middle of a series though.
You can't say that.
Whatever, dude. You're gonna bash.
That
me
is
for
true,
not
though,
being
Daryl.
honest.
Daryl, no,
You
that
bash
is
me for
true,
not
though.
being
Yeah,
honest.
you
That
can't
is
say
true.
that in
Said
the
it
middle of a
in the
series.
off
You want it
season
both
when
ways,
this whole
bro.
thing was going
You want it
on.
both ways. You can't have it that way.
Go ahead, Nick. Let's hear from Nick real quick so that we can just go, go on everyone's topic after this. Go ahead, Nick. What's like your overall outlook going forward with the Miami Heat? Obviously we got swept by the Cleveland Cavaliers. I didn't think we were that bad. I at least thought that we could win 1 or 2 games. Obviously with, Wiggins, maybe he's hurt. Who knows why he played absolutely terrible. And then also too, just with Bam's overall, game this series, I believe that he's better than Mobley and Jared Allen, but we haven't seen anything, especially from those two. I thought that we could really dominate those two matchups. We did not see that at all. So what is your current outlook, Nick? And then we'll get to Nate.
Oh man, my outlook. I'm not expecting much. As far as Bam's concerned, everybody's on the trading block as far as I'm concerned personally. So Bam, Tyler, Andrew Wiggins. I wasn't hype about him when we got him. Man, all these guys. I don't see anybody safe right now. I mean, if you do keep Bam and Tyler, I guess the question would be, what do you build around them? And can you build a championship core around them? Because what really happened in this series was the team completely gave up. And you saw it. Same thing that Martell, just like you said, you didn't think they were this bad. We beat Boston 1 game last season. So I was expecting at least one. I was expecting a fight. And I think we saw glimpses of that second game. But there was just absolutely no fight. I think what Tyler said definitely had an effect with that. Not saying that what he said was right or wrong. I'm just saying what he said probably had an effect on that game as far as team morale. And these dudes just gave up, man. They gave up the game. As far as outlook, what do we do moving forward? I mean, like I said, everybody's on the trading block, but moves definitely have to be made. I don't think Bam is better than Jared and Mobley because he hasn't shown that yet. Now, to be fair to him, I think they're in a better situation than him. And I also think that they're schemed for a little bit more, not necessarily Jared, but Mobley definitely. Versus getting other people or getting their team involved, which I think is more so Bam's role. He has to get involved, get Duncan open on screens and do all these DHOs and all that. So I think that we could probably scheme for him a little bit better in offense, but he just hasn't shown that he's better than Mobley. He hasn't shown that he's better than Jared Allen either, as far as being a big man in the paint. So I mean, I'm just keeping it real, dog. You know what I'm saying? And Tyler's not. I guess we'll get to Tyler later. But he's not safe either, man. So we stuck, y'all. We stuck, man. We stuck. It's definitely going to be interesting to see how Pat responds, though.
Nate, go ahead.
Well, me?
Yeah, go ahead, man. You all good? What's your current
Yeah.
outlook
So,
on the team and the series?
yeah, man. Looking at the series, man, I'm going to be honest with you. It seemed like the first 2 games we approached it like it was a playoff game. Those last 2 games, we were flat, and it looked like we approached it like it was a regular season game. And they stole our heart, man. They took it from us. They snatched it. They bullied us, and I don't know, man. We just didn't play with no sense of urgency. And but as far as going forward, I do agree that we shouldn't have any untouchables on this team, but I highly doubt Bam and Tyler are going anywhere. I highly doubt it. Um, to Nick's point, if you do build around Bam and Tyler, what is the team going to look like? What roles? And that's another thing too. We we need roles on the team. You know what I'm saying? Like even going forward, the person, not just the personnel, but you can have great players, but people need to know what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? What's this? Your job is to do this. You are to do this. We need to have a certain structure to the offense, man. And I'm not going to go as far as to say that Spo, like his voice is not as prominent in that locker room as it was before. But I don't know, man. It just doesn't seem like whatever he's coaching, whatever he's telling them, it doesn't seem like he's coaching them up anymore. You know what I'm saying? It just, we shouldn't be, we're not as bad as we were. I'm not trying to say that, like, at least make it look competitive. You know what I'm saying? And we didn't have it. The mental toughness we just didn't show up, man.
So let's just jump right in. Daryl, we're going to go straight for your boy Tyler. Now, I understand what everyone's saying in terms of, he's not the number one option, which you've been clear about. He isn't a number one option. You've been very clear on that. And then you've also been clear on nobody wants to give him $50 million. The problem is that, which, don't get me wrong, I think he is bad on defense, but this series, bro, he was getting cooked left and right from everyone and their mama. You know what I mean? Like, I have to be honest. I like Tyler Herro. I think he's a good young player. I think that we put Bam and Tyler in a very bad position because we're forcing them to be number one options. We're forcing them to do things that they're not really built for. I will, though, say with Trent, it was really bad for him to start crying, though, because you're telling me that that Darius Garland and the Cleveland Cavaliers call you out and say, listen, we're coming to cook you every single game. We're picking on you. Then you say that you're not worried about Darius Garland, and then now you turn around now and you start crying, talking about, we need Jimmy. You can't cry in the middle of a series. You got to stand on your nuts. So, Daryl, please help us, because like I said, if this is the guy that's supposed to be our top 3 or our top 4 guys on the roster, you can't cry now for Jimmy to come save you because he's not coming back. He's not coming. If anything, he quit on the team. So where do you stand with this whole thing about him missing Jimmy Butler, saying they can't win without Jimmy Butler? That was a lot of crying to me. All I'm saying is you got to stand on your nuts in this series. That's all I'm saying. That's a lot of crying.
Listen, I think people say shit at times that they probably shouldn't say. I'm not saying you shouldn't say it. You probably shouldn't have said it, but I think people take it. People sit here and cry about all the time when they're not honest. And you're like, oh, I can see through it. You're talking shit. And then when somebody's honest, then you want to hold it against them. It's a double-edged sword. Like I was saying to Trent earlier, like every one of these fucking stars or all-stars or whatever, they all say the same shit. They all need talent. They're all saying we need help. He just happened to say it in the fucking series. Okay, whatever. Maybe the wrong time. Every fucking one of them says it. Steph was crying. Steph's been crying for 2 years. Yo, I need help. It's the same shit. Was it probably the wrong time, wrong context? Yeah, probably. He's 25 years old, bro. 25-year-olds make dumb shit. They say dumb shit. It is what it is. If you go back through history and you listen to all these guys, they've all said dumb shit. It's hitting home right now because we're getting killed and everybody wants change. But I don't know. It is what it is, man. Nobody had a problem when he's being honest at the All-Star break. He told you the All-Star break they weren't contenders then either. So what's the difference? Like, they need help. You all know he needs help, but you're mad because he said it? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me, bro.
No,
I actually didn't really have a problem with it, though.
I actually don't. I don't have a problem with it.
See, this is let me chime in real quick. This is my problem, right?
Was that Trent?
Yeah, this is my problem right here. Listen, Darius Garland called Tyler Herro out, right? I was angry because if you're going against my team, I don't like you. Simple as that. Garland called him out. I made a video about it. I made a whole rant. I was defending Tyler. I said, yo, you better go out there and perform. You know what he does? And then let's not forget the comments about, oh, we're not losing 4-0. That's what he said. Oh, we're not going down 4, something like that. He said that. So I'm thinking, all right, cool. If you talking all the talk, you got to back it up. You know what he continues to do? He goes out there and drops 13-4 at home. 13-4. That's unacceptable. There's like, forget the Jimmy comments. Cool. But if you're our number one guy, you're going to be our most paid guy with Bam, you're going to get all the criticism in the world. That's what happens with every single team if you get a high paid contract and you're that guy. He was our leading scorer in the regular season. He improved throughout the whole year. I gave him credit throughout the whole year. And everybody knows if you watch me, I criticize Tyler the most. This season, I was his biggest fan. I was rooting for the kid. When he got called up by Pat Riley, he was fragile. I was like, yo, you got to come back. What did he do? He shut all of us up and had a great season. But then you go into the postseason and you don't look good. Once again, a lot of people give Tyler the slack against the Celtics because they're like, oh, well, Jimmy just wasn't there. Let's give him the slack. Jimmy wasn't here the whole season. You played well. You go into the postseason and you get exposed, literally exposed. You can't go into an elimination game and drop 4 points. I don't care what anybody says. There's no defending that. You can't. And in the game before, you dropped 13. You put 17 points up in the last 2 games in elimination at home, and you get destroyed by 55 points. Now, it's not necessarily all on Tyler. It's a team game, but you look at your 2 guys in Tyler and Bam and Wiggins, you can add that, and that's what you're going to get criticized at. Simple as that. That's my problem with Tyler. Simple.
And Jimmy got swept by the Bucks too. So
and Jimmy is about to go in the second round right
and
now.
went to the
That's
finals.
That was
2 years
that
later.
was a short year though, man.
Went to the finals 2 years later. Went to the Eastern Conference Finals
turnaround.
a year later. But okay.
If you want to bring a stat, let's bring a stat.
But what it comes down to is we don't have the personnel. So now Tyler's getting the smoke that Jimmy was getting, right? Because now he's the guy that is expected to carry the team, or at least the scoring load for sure. And if he doesn't do that, everybody's going to be looking at him like he's crazy, especially if you're talking shit. You know what I mean? So anyways, my gripe has always been with the front office. I may say my little shit on X or whatever, but my gripe has always been they have to do a little bit more constructing the roster. They have to. If they're going to run with these guys and want us to be on board and believe, they have to retool this roster better.
So then, David, what do you want for the future? Because you did put up the poll. Like, are we going to keep Tyler and Bam? Are we going to trade both of them? Are you going to keep one, trade the other? Like, where do you want this Miami Heat franchise to move? I mean, they're in a bad position, but I also think that they're also in a great position. They have, like, what, I think $68 million in the expiring deals. They have a bunch of things that they could work with. But where do you see this Miami Heat team going in terms of Bam and Tyler? I know some people want to add Kevin Durant. Who knows if that's necessarily a championship team? It depends on who you're putting around those guys, who you're keeping, who you're trading. I think most of the kids outside of Khalil Ware should go, in my humble opinion. If you're not going to use Jovic the right way, trade him. If he's not going to develop his game quick enough, trade him. So where exactly do you stand, David, with Bam and Tyler together, trading one of them? Like, where do you stand with that? And then we'll move on to Nick.
Well, with the polls in general, I just in generality, we're in the off season now. So obviously I want to see everybody's opinions on where they stand with the franchise and what they want moving forward. And a lot of it, is trade Herro, keep Bam. And for me personally, that's just my opinion. Like, I feel like you can build this. Like, I'm not saying to exactly build it around Bam, but Bam is a core piece you need on a championship team at the end of the day, for me personally. I think that just like his defense alone has kept us very like in those top 10 categories year in and year out. And if you take away Bam from this team in general, we still not a good team with him right now, especially this year, trading Jimmy and everything. But just with the whole generality of what he's done throughout his time, and I know he had a very bad year offensively, and before that he was actually improving. I just really think that Bam is the guy that I would keep out of everybody. But like Trent said earlier, we are listening to calls at this point, because the way the season went, the way that the playoffs went with that series alone, it just tells you that you need to get those expiring contracts out of here. Obviously, if you want to pay I just want to be clear. Tyler has earned any type of contract he gets in the future. He made an All-Star this year. He had a great improved year this year. But to Trent's point, the man has not performed in the playoffs well whatsoever. He's had 2 solid games in the last 2 years in both playoff runs, and the other 6 games he's been a complete pedestrian, and he's always attacked defensively. It happens year in, year out. And as much as you want to talk about how Tyler has improved year in and year out throughout his career, my thought process with Tyler is always going to be when it comes to the playoffs, and that guy has yet to perform in a playoff series.
Yeah, he hasn't. I mean, let's just be honest about it. He's been injured. And I was expecting a little bit more from Tyler, definitely this playoffs. Obviously, they schemed against him. So Playoffs are a different beast. They're obviously going to scheme against the best scorer on the team, and he has to fight through that. And again, the personnel beside him just wasn't there to help him out a bit. Same thing we've been arguing when Jimmy was here. So for me, man, again, nobody's safe. I think everybody's kind of answering this question based on who they like more. Obviously, a lot of people don't like Tyler, so everybody's saying Bam, and then Bam, and then the Tyler fans think we should trade Bam and keep Tyler because Tyler's the scorer on the team. I just think it's a matter of who you're getting for either, but neither one of them are safe in my book. It depends on who you're getting back and what the plan is for the team moving forward, how you're going to build the team moving forward. But I'm interested in seeing what the front office, specifically Pat and the ownership, are going to do moving forward, and what the plan is for the team, what kind of team they're going to construct, because the Jimmy era is over. So we can't go in with that same build in mind anymore. We got to start fresh, figure out what this team is gonna look like moving forward. Who's gonna be the captain? Who's gonna be the leader? Either it's gonna be Bam, if it's gonna be Tyler, if it's gonna be both. How are they gonna make that work? And those are the questions that are gonna have to be answered in the offseason.
So then, Nate, when you look at Bam, don't get me wrong. Like, I think also too, they put him in a very bad position as well. He does everything for this team: rebounding, defense, everything. But then at the same time, like what Trent said, you can't have a guy where, bro, that 50 ball about to hit the cap soon. That 50 million is going to hit the cap. And I'm not saying that he has to come out here just like how we cook Tyler for the defensive end, we also have to cook Bam for the offensive end. There's no excuse. There's absolutely no excuse for him to be in a first round of a playoff series and have a game of 13 points. Especially when, think about it, guys, until really game 3 or 4, bro, their bigs did absolutely nothing. Jared Allen and Mobley, they were never in foul trouble. They never felt any pressure. Obviously, like, it's either, said than done. It's a lot easier said than done. But what do you expect from Bam Adebayo? Because we're going to at least need Bam to average 25 and 10 if he's going to be making $50 million, along with his great defense. I'm sorry. We have to hold everybody accountable, just like how we do with Giannis, Luka, LeBron. All these greats, or at least all the leaders of the team, should at least be giving us 25 and 10, at least.
That's not, I mean, you would want your $50 million player to play both ends of the floor. I mean, that should be a requirement for all professional athletes, for real. Like, there's no excuse for that. You're a professional. But that to ask him to score 25, I don't think we're going to see that.
But Nate, he's not even looking at the rim.
That's what I'm saying.
And we're going to get this Spoelstra's offense in a minute, Daryl. Don't worry.
But
we're going to get there.
This is what, year 8 for him? And like we should not still, like, at this point still be like, man, like, Bam needs a point guard. Bam needs this. It's like, no, like, bro, like we've seen Bam
baby and that nigga, man.
Man, he'll get the ball on the block and have a 6'3" point guard on him, and he'll turn around and shoot a fadeaway, a hook shot, or he'll pump fake 5 or 6 times before he try to pass it out. And it's like, no, man, like we need you to, like what you said. They never felt Bam in this series. Like, I probably should have looked up how many foul shots he had in all games, whatever. But it's like he was a complete no-show. They weren't guarding him like how they were guarding Tyler. Like, I saw several clips where Mobley, they left Bam out there on the 3-point line. It's like, oh man, if you're going to play the Al Horford role, then stay on out there. Then.
That's why Bam got all the shots. He was 9 for 20, 10 for 20. To like he had those shots. It was his game because they were on Tyler. And them dudes did not step up, bro.
Listen, the thing about Bam, and I'm gonna get on Bam too. Listen, right? Tyler just doesn't get the smoke too. Bam for sure gets the smoke. I agree with Nate. He'll never be a 25-point scorer ever. That's not happening. He doesn't have the bag to do it. Like, the bag is just not there. Like, he's very one dimension, I feel like, right? Like, I remember coming into the offseason like, yo, if Bam could get that 3-pointer, yo, he can really be elite. Then he forgot he doesn't even the mid-range. What happened to the mid-range? You know what I mean? So it's like, and then one thing about Bam that irks my soul is he will have a guard on him and he decide, do I post him up and body him, or do I fade away from the shot from the rim and give the guard a chance for him to miss a shot? He does that way too much. And it's like, these two guys, and realistically, I think everybody in this panel knows those are the two guys are staying. Like those are the two guys that are staying in Miami. They're not going to get traded. My opinion, I think you should listen to offers just to see what's up. But they're not going to get traded with Pat Riley and Spo. They have way too much confidence in these guys. They're going to try to build around these two guys. The thing is, it's not going to work because they're neither a number one option. I have problems giving them a number two option. Fine if you want to give them number two, but they just lack. Yeah, they lack so much. And listen, bro, I know Tyler's your boy. Trust me. Russell Westbrook's my player. I have to go to war for him every single night with how much he messes up. Trust and believe. I know how it is, my boy. I get it. But when a player got to get called out, a player got get called out. And one thing about me, I'm gonna call these players out because I love my team so much. I want the best for them. That's all I want. I just want the best for them.
Real quick, like while we're cooking Bam and everything, I just really think that at times it's mainly the aggression that we just like harp on a lot, and I talked about it with Nick beforehand, and the main thing about Bam is like the lack of aggression and obviously not being able to take advantage of those mismatches. Those are the two things that if he would just like go at them, it would just be a completely different story. I don't care if you're still missing at that point, but you're still taking advantage of what the defense is giving you. And like I get the whole like circle around like he needs a point guard because just in my opinion, like Duncan Robinson gets him anywhere from like 4 to 6 like easy points with like how he operates the pick and roll, and he's not a guy that you want at the forefront operating pick and rolls. So if you actually do get him a good facilitating point guard that's actually going to take pressure like off of him and off the defense to where they're actually going to hone in on him instead of worrying so much about Bam off the roll. Like I think that we're having just a little bit different discussions, and maybe his points per game like rises a little bit, but at the end of the day, like it is one dimensional with Bam, and he does get himself into a lot of situations where he has no business fucking passing out when you're literally on a 6'3" guard. There's like no reason for that.
Yeah, that was the one thing that BBL Lowry did do well. He really forced Bam Adebayo to really lock in terms of when Bam would throw that ball right back. Nope, bro, Kyle would throw the ball right back at him and force him. And I think, bro, David, you are 110% correct. It's really not even about Bam scoring 25 points. It's just about the aggression, taking advantage of mismatches. If you're playing, like in the Olympics and you're around all these all-time greats, you should honestly be soaking all that in and translating it to the court. But Daryl, everyone always asks you about Tyler. What do you think about Bam Adebayo on this Miami Heat team? Are you trading him, keeping him? Like, where do you stand with Bam?
It's depending on what you want to do. My biggest problem with Bam is Spo. You've asked that guy to play a role the whole time he's been here. Like these guys go into the off seasons, depending on what they need. If I got this guy, this is what I'm going to play. They asked Tyler, you saw it. You see the differences in the season, what they did. They said, Tyler, we want you to shoot, 10, 12 threes. That's what he did. I don't necessarily think he was the smartest play, but because I don't think the coaching's good. But my point is that Bam has never gone into the off season where you said, hey, you need to go work on this bag, because at the end of the day, he's just been the hub. It's just like, hey, if you're that guy and you're sitting there saying, hey, I've just got to run this whole defense, I've got to do all this shit, I'm not working on that stuff. Now that you're a 4, now you have to be able to drive. Now you have to be able to post it. You have to have the stuff that Trent was talking about. For me, I think it's this year. I think you have to decide this year. He has to go to the offseason. He has to say, hey, you're a 4 now. And I mean a complete 4. Like they need to go get another big so that he never has to play the 5 again, because Bam's the type, if you give him an excuse, he's going to take it. You say, oh, I don't need to do that now. You want me to go play the 5 again for half the game? Then I'm not going to be aggressive. You have to take every excuse away from Bam and force him to do it and hope that it works out. But when you've asked this guy to just do this one role for this whole time, I agree with everybody. He has to do more, but a lot of it's unfair. And once again, it goes back to Spo. My biggest gripe is Spo. he's an offensive moron, bro. I don't know what to tell you. So until you get some guys that supersede what he does on offense or what he thinks on offense, which is why I think everybody clues in on having Jimmy and having these guys that know how to do offense themselves and don't have to turn to Spo, which is why they're all fucking arguing with him on the freaking sideline. You're going to be in the same problem because you're relying on the guy who's an offensive moron to tell you how to play offense. But for the last 10 years, you're 20th in the league. I don't care who's on your team, bro. I don't care who's on your fucking team, bro. If you're 20th in the league, bro, you're not winning anything. I don't give a shit if it's Tyler or anybody else. You're not winning with 20th offense.
Let me ask y'all a question in the panel and for the supporters out there. And this is just, I thought about this yesterday. Do you guys think the Spo lost a locker room?
Yes. I think he's lost. I think he's lost.
I think so. A little bit. To an extent.
I asked this because I'm a coach myself, right? So these third quarters or these adjustments, they're just not responding. And typically when people just don't respond, you can look at the talent and be like, we just don't have the talent. Or you could look at it and just be like, I just don't want to listen to what you got to say. Like I'm just gonna do me. Like, like that's the and these are grown adults at the end of the day that they're all millionaires. They all have a type of ego a little bit, like at some point you could look at maybe that he lost a locker room because like just especially for this season, right? This season was like hell. Like everything that the Heat dealt with, like, and it's not on Spo, but like you probably just like black him out or whatever, and it's like, bro, I see this season over with. And I think that's why when you look at the game 4, they probably just wanted this season over with and go to vacation. Just with everything they dealt with. And it's not a good thing as fans, but for them, they're like, yo, listen, bro, I dealt with this Jimmy drama. It separated the locker room a little bit. And then, like, even the Spo, like, I don't think Spo had drama, but even Spo was going through stuff with his wife. Like, there was just so much stuff that happened during this season. And then Tyler being called fragile and at the beginning of this offseason. Like, it was just so much that occurred this year that I can't look at any other organization that went through this stuff. So, like, I was just curious to see what you guys think, but yeah.
I do think to an extent for sure he has lost the locker room. I think when we're talking about the roster construction too, like obviously for Spo at this point, like it's really hard to deal with bad roster construction with any coach. But in general, like he had his worst year this year by far. And I think if we're all being honest, the offense just in general, like hasn't been great to any extent outside of the LeBron era. And in general, it was because like you have a guy that can basically take over your offense for you and doesn't have to listen to a word you say. So that is one aspect, but another thing too with Spo is he just won't adapt either. And he did play small ball for quite too long, and I'm glad that we got Ware because obviously that's a guy that's going to be able to take Bam out of those positions, but also too like with doing all of that, I think that you still got to be able to run a better offense with those guys on the floor, with a guy that's playing at an all-star level, and with rotating pieces and everything. I know we've dealt with a ton of different shit this year, but like we just need to add a little like a playmaker. We need to add guys that are going to play their roles better with like besides like Tyler and Bam, and like really outside of those two, like it's really been interchangeable night in and night out. Like Jovic is inconsistent. JJJ had his worst year, like, and regardless or not of what you thought about the rookie campaign and coming into the season, like people really thought he was going to make like some improvements and possibly be a good backup for Jimmy, and that just hasn't been the case at all. And just everywhere you look, it's just a walking inconsistency. And it does go back to Spo in the sense of you lost us quite a bit of games this year. And I think it's even more than two handfuls if we're just being honest. Like not only like with the incompetence of like running an offense, but also too, man, like you cannot lose games on not knowing how many timeouts you have. There's no excuse for that. And on top of it, there was a stat that they said about how many times he challenged during the year. I think it was like 22 times. And Kenny
was 17.
Atkinson, I
I think it
think,
was
had
like
like over 80 challenges on the year. And you should be able to challenge at least one call every single game. And the fact that you only challenged 22 times during an 82 plus game season, that's atrocious.
Yeah, I mean, I just think they're too comfortable. I think that, you have guys that, they have this job, they think because they've been there for 20 years that they feel no pressure. And I just think that Daryl and David's right. You're telling me for the past 5 years that we can't crack 90 points for blowing leads. Some of it is on roster construction. It's not all on Spo, but then at the same time, Spo picks and chooses who he wants on this roster. He's the one that wanted to keep guys around like Drew Smith. I think Drew Smith, he's a decent piece, but he can't be a focal point on a championship team. Nick, what do you think about this front office? You're very crucial about Pat Riley and everything, especially today. Stephen A. Smith and a bunch of other people on First Take, they want him gone. They want him fired. And let's just say that he retires and then someone else comes in. Unless you're getting somebody from the outside, it's going to almost be somewhat of the same because they all fall in line. I know that we like to crucify Pat Riley when deals don't get done, but it's not just, Pat. It's Mickey. It's everybody. It's not really just Pat, especially when we heard that Pat Riley wasn't really too upset at Jimmy Butler. It was really more or less the Harrisons. Who knows? These are all rumors. But what do you think about this front office? I do think something needs to change. The philosophy needs to change. But what's your overall outlook on that?
Yeah, I kind of agree with what Stephen A. said today, and I know a lot of the Pat stands out there don't like to hear that. But it's not a matter of can Pat get it done. It's just a matter of he's 80, man. All good things come to an end. And it's just time in my opinion, it's time for something fresh, new. We've had 2 decades now of just being spoiled of some really good basketball. Pat has nothing else to prove, in my opinion. I don't know why. I know basketball is his life. I don't want to say I don't know why. Basketball is that man's life. But yo, you're 80, man. Enjoy the rest of your life, big dog. Like, I would personally put Zoe there. If not Alonzo, put Andy there and just give him more decision making, or just have Nick come out from the shadows because he's been making a lot of the decisions anyways. Have Nick come out in the shadows and have more of a voice. Bring Wade back, damn it. I mean, that's also an option. You know what I mean? Get Goron in here. That's also an option. But just new guys, new faces. And Pat can still have a voice. Just be in a consulting role. Like, I'm not saying get out of here, old man, and never have anything involved with basketball again. It's still Pat Riley. But just the type of role that he's in, I wouldn't mind if Pat is not the front runner or face of the Miami Heat anymore. You know what I mean? Like, you have nothing else to prove to me. You've done great as a Miamian that was born and raised here and actually got to see the growth. And I was 5 when Pat came here. I saw it from the ground up as a kid till a grown-ass man with 2 kids myself. So I witnessed all this shit. Pat has nothing else to prove to me. He's a legend in Miami. His name is stamped. He could do no wrong here. Give up the keys, dog. Give up the keys. That's my opinion about Pat, man. Give up the keys. So I agree with that. Who would I put there? Again, Spo. I wouldn't mind. I want to see Alonzo there because Alonzo has been there beside him the whole time. It probably wouldn't be my first choice, but I wouldn't mind seeing him there. I wouldn't mind seeing Andy there just because, again, he's been with Pat this whole time with this success. But I want to see something kind of like what Boston did. Danny Ainge stepped down and gave that to Brad Stevens, and then they kind of just entered a new era. You know what I mean? That's what we need.
Nick, if you get D-Wade tomorrow, this franchise, I don't care what type of assets we have. I don't care what this team looks like. That is the biggest travesty. I mean, somebody said in my comments that I guess that they offered him a very small percentage. Listen, we already know who the Harrisons, we already know who they're about. I
And
can't
I've
even
been talking about it.
I can't even say what I want to say on this. You know what I'm saying? We know they're cheap. They are not going to give any type of ownership out. Listen, you guys think that UD's going to get ownership?
Nah.
No, and even if he does, it's going to be a penny because they are not going to do that. In my humble opinion, I just don't see them doing it. D Wade should be. You're telling me that you built a statue of this man, and he's not at the forefront of your
He needs to
organization.
be here. He
He
needs to
brought
be
them
here.
all these chips. He brought them Jimmy, Victor Oladipo, Terry Rozier, LeBron, Chris Bosh, and the list goes on. Closing statements, because I know that we have to go, but that is one of the biggest travesties that D Wade is not at the front of this organization. And if he was, I don't care if we have 0 first-round picks. We're going to get it done. But go ahead, Trent. Like, what's your closing statements? And then we'll go around. And then also, too, Trent, we have 106 people in the building. Please let the people know where they can find you on YouTube and all your other platforms.
Yeah, listen, my last statement is, man, this is going to be a long, depressing offseason for sure, for sure. We can talk all we want of what we want with this team, but at the end of the day, we're not making the decisions. We're just looking what's best for them. And I personally think they're going to make minor moves. They're not going to listen to us. They're probably going to keep dunking on the roster. It's going to be hard to trade Terry. So those are the 2 guys I personally want off the team. And then they'll lose guys like Alec Burks, which when he got the opportunity, he played well for us and stuff like that. And, I just feel like we're going to be in the same position as next year. And I have a feeling that this front office is going to be like, you know what? It's because Andrew Wiggins didn't have a full offseason and we got to get chemistry with these guys. They're going to say some dumb stuff like that to run this big 3 over it again because, man, I didn't rant about Wiggins today, and I'm more mad at Wiggins than I'm more at Bam and Tyler because Wiggins is a disgrace. He should never wear a Miami Heat jersey again. He's a bum. But,
Damn.
man, listen, I hope y'all enjoyed today's episode for sure. Check me out on YouTube, Miami Heat Network, grinding to 6,000 subscribers. Appreciate y'all. And yeah.
Daryl, closing statements, and then we're going to go to David and then close out with Nick.
I mean, I just think I think they've had a plan for a while. I think they took a while to execute it. We talked about it before. I think they should have traded Jimmy before, and they were just late to the party. I think they kept saying 26 because that's when Jimmy's contract was done, and they could technically do that. But I think the timeline moves up. Listen, they have all these expirings. You need to do something with them. You can't let them expire. So I believe that they're going to make a big splash this summer. That they're at least going to try, and then they can retinker around that the following season. I don't think people are paying enough attention to the aprons and stuff and what it's going to do to other teams. I think it's going to be crazy, to be honest, this summer. Teams are having to make moves even if they don't want to, just because of the aprons. So I think there's going to be a lot more moves that people don't expect. And they're not seeing other than the obvious stuff, and that will present opportunity. I've said steadfast that I believe they can still build around Bam and Tyler, but they have to do it the right way, and there has to be a shakeup. There has to be. You got to get rid of all the yes men on the fucking bench, the Chris Quinns. You need to go get the Stan Van Gundy's. You need to go get the Sam Cassells. You need to get another voice in there that it's not just. Yes, well, whatever you think, that kind of shit. They need they need new blood in this. It has gotten stale, and they need to grow with the times. And I think those guys are both good players. I agree they're not 1As, but on every team you need 2s and 3s and 4s too. So there's a lot of money sitting there, bro. There's $100 fucking million there that you can do something with. So you just need to do something with it. And the time is now. You got rid of Jimmy. That's fine. He's gone. I agreed with it. You should have got rid of Jimmy. And it's time to move. Like, this sit around and wait for a couple more years, that's not helping you either. So I don't know what's going to go on with Pat. I'm a huge Pat fan, obviously. He's done more than anybody. I don't know which direction it goes. I would never turn this shit over to Spo. I just don't think he has the I don't think he has the moxie to kind of be in that position like a cutthroat dude. I just don't think he's that guy. Listen, if it was me, I would fucking call D Wade and say, sell your shares. You are the new president. Bring him in immediately. I would bring in Goran immediately for international players. And Spo can do Brad Stevens, as Nick was saying, I think that dude was that type. I don't think he was the coach type. I think Coach Spo is the coach, and he's not. Just because you're a great coach doesn't make you going to be a better upper management guy. You know what I mean? I think Stevens knew that, and he knew that pretty quickly and said, this is not for me, but I could do a lot better in this job. Spo can stay in the consulting shit, whatever you want to do, but, he needs massive changes to what he's doing, and I don't think it's in him. I think he needs other coaches to help him with that offense, to really fix this thing, because I got 10 years of data, and you're 20th. Your 20th offense for 10 years. That you are not a good offensive coach. Be honest with yourself and go get the best offensive coach you can find and put him on your staff, and stop having these other dudes sitting there. Should we use timeouts? Should we use challenges? Like, they're just sitting there. They're not doing nothing. They're doing nothing. So I believe they can turn it around. This league you can change everything with one player. They're positioned for it, but they have to take the bull by the horns and do it.
All right, David, go ahead. And please let the people know about playback as well. You're on mute, David.
Yeah, follow all of our content at Playbook SN, and then you can also follow myself at dfarrell15. Man, bro, get that fraudulent 22 off my team. He is a fraud. Canadian Michael, get the hell off my team. And I'm just being honest. This is just me being honest. And I know how a lot of fans feel about the way Jimmy left and everything. I know how you feel about Jimmy Martell, but you should have paid him. You should have given him another year. You should have kept him on the team, because that guy does things for an organization. He helps you win. He's doing it right now. And that is what it is. But in general, with this team, if you choose to keep Tyler and Bam, if you want to build around them, that's a whole different conversation. You're obviously going to have to move off basically everybody but Khalil Ware, maybe Davion Mitchell. Those are only two guys really at the top of my head that I can think of wanting to keep around those two guys. But we got to come in with just a fresh, new faces, because everybody else here, even Bam and Tyler at this point are expendable. Things can happen. We're going to see what type of moves this front office has in them to make. Obviously, you got to see what's out there, what's available. You got to make the calls, and you got to hear all those calls. If even if it means giving up your treasure, real talk, you really have to listen to everything at this point. So I appreciate you, Martell. I appreciate the Miami Heat zone. You do a great job here, and at the end of the day, we just want to see this team get back to the mountaintop.
That's all we want, brother. So Nick, please close us out, man. Go ahead. Let the people know about your pod as well.
Yeah, man. Triple threat underscore. We're gonna have Martell as a guest on there actually pretty soon. Daryl as well. D, hopefully you'll join as well. We're gonna start getting some guests rolling on there. You can also follow me on Nick 2_NC. But yeah, man. To Daryl's point, definitely should have moved. I was honestly saying we should have moved Jimmy around when people were saying we should have moved Lowry. Once I seen they weren't really making aggressive moves to retool. But once we kept him, I was more so on board with extending him and just rolling him out until Bam and Tyler's contract kind of ran its course. So basically, if we were going to keep Bam and Tyler, then let's go ahead and keep Jimmy. Let's go ahead and run with this group. And by the time Jimmy does retire, we'll see what Bam and Tyler is really made of, because we'll have a healthy Jimmy, we'll have a healthy Bam, healthy Tyler. Let's just see what they could do together as a group. We've already reached the finals. Tyler was injured. Let's see what we could do with this new Tyler, right? I would have rather that than this bullshit I'm looking at right now, straight up. I really don't know what direction we're going. I hope it's somewhere positive. Pat has said he doesn't like draft picks, so I'm not really putting my stock in the draft. There's going to be a lot of players available because of the CBA. We saw that, I think, with Luka. Luka definitely got that ball rolling. A lot of owners are starting to ask, do we really want to pay these guys, especially if they're injured a lot, like LaMelo Ball, Trae Young has been not doing much in Atlanta since they went to that finals, 4 years ago now. So they're definitely thinking about, do we want to pay Trae Young again, a $60+ million contract? So they're starting to ask these questions about
Zion,
these
he
guys.
can't put down the gumbo or the oxtail pizza.
Zion can't put the fork down. These owners are starting to ask serious questions because
Y'all
of the
can't put the
CBA.
gun down.
Look, Ja can't put the pistol down, man. Look, these owners are not with it anymore. They're not just they're not just gonna pay these guys. So knowing the Pat that I know, he gonna get him one of them. And I'm just hoping that I like that we got our ass whooped. I'm hoping that this lights a fuel in him. And just he gets back to the drawing board and gets back to who he is if he does decide to stay, because it's still Pat, man. I'll be talking my shit, but it's still Pat, and I just hope that he comes up with a vision for us and makes it happen, dog. But definitely moves need to be made. And like Bam said, changes are definitely gonna happen for real. I see it coming, hopefully.
Guys, so once again, thank you guys so much for coming on the show. Make sure that you guys follow them on all their platforms. We have another big episode, like with another group of guys. Make sure that you guys also tune in, like, share, comment, subscribe. Make sure that you guys check out Daryl, Nick, and David. They all do great work in their own spaces. Make sure that you guys go follow their content, and thank you for all the support.
Later, boys.